Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm doing my case study on should Carol tell Joan about the workplace safety issue. Alright, so Carol Walters is a production manager for World Auto Parts, a large manufacturer of transmission components for cars and trucks. If WAP's production price was to rise, then their other two competitors would quickly take over the market. WAP's workforce has been with them for over 10 years and is loyal and experienced. WAP is not unionized, and one reason that the employees stay with WAP is because there are no other jobs in the local area. With the advancement of technology, WAP has had to replace its machinery. One machine is the Sterling Gear Press Mark IV. This replaces the old Mark IIIs. The Mark IV were installed on the factory floor beside the older Mark IIIs. Both of WAP's competitors also use the Mark IV. Carol and another production manager, Phil Thomas, have noticed that the injury rates on the new machines is higher than that on the older ones. The new design on the machine seems to have caused workers to strain their backs and left arms. The new machines, however, are faster than the older ones and have caused production to go up. The savings to WAP outweigh the cost in the downtime and off time for injured workers. This situation does not violate occupational safety and health regulations. Since Carol is a production manager, it is in her interest to fix the problems, and she will likely be blamed by senior management. Carol and Phil believe if they both tell their boss, Joan Ross, separately that there is a safety issue, then she will believe them. There are a few things that Joan could do. One is order them to inform the operators of the problem. 2 is that she could order the operators to slow down and be more careful. 3 is she could order them to use the old Mark IIIs instead of the new Mark IVs. All options will put WAP at a competitive disadvantage unless she can convince the competitors to do the same, and there is no guarantee that the other companies will follow through even if they verbally agree to. Complicating the situation is that Carol and Phil are both competing for the same promotion. In the past, Carol has not kept her word to Phil, and she believes that Phil does not trust her. If both Phil and Carol tell Joan of the safety issue, then Joan will likely do something, and both will still be in the competition for the promotion. However, if one of them doesn't follow through, then Joan will likely do nothing and not promote whoever told her of the issue. If neither of them tell Joan, then nothing will happen, and the competition will continue. So the question is should Carol tell Joan about the workplace safety issue? Taking into consideration identity-based theories, if you look at care ethics, then Carol wants to preserve her relationship with Phil, knowing that she hasn't followed through on her word before. So this would make her want to tell Joan, because then she'd be following through on her word and caring about that relationship with Phil that she has in the past sort of ruined. Also, this could mess up her relationship with her workers if she doesn't look out for their best interests, because they don't have a union, so they would look for their manager to be looking out for them. If you take into consider virtue ethics, she would be considered selfish, greedy, and dishonest if she doesn't tell Joan, because then she's only looking out for herself for the promotion. Also dishonest because she wouldn't follow through on keeping her word to Phil. But if she does, then she would be considered generous for giving up the possibility of the promotion, because she can't guarantee that Phil will keep up on his end, but she can keep up on hers. And she would be honest because she would be keeping her word to Phil. So we looked at principle-based ethics. For duty ethics, Carol has a duty to protect her employees. As manager, she needs to look out for their best interest. And also she has a duty to keep her word that just keeps her honest. So for justice ethics, it's not fair for the employees not to know of the potential danger on the new machines that they're using. And then for rights ethics, the employees chose to work there at WAP, and they expected them to look out for their safety, so they have a right to be kept safe at work. So for consequence-based ethics, for objective, Carol wants Phil to tell Joan, because if they both do, then something will be done for the safety issue. If you look at utilitarianism, they both want to maximize positive mental state in herself and others, but in order to do that, that would not be telling Joan in order to maximize her positive mental state. So that would be going against telling Joan. And then for ethical egoism, she'd be considering only her own interests when making the decision to tell Joan, so then she would decide not to, because if she doesn't, then if Phil does, she would still be in the running for the promotion. So now, if we go a little bit more into detail on ethical egoism and then cooperation dilemma, So if she acts only as an extreme egoist, then she wouldn't tell Joan because she would want the promotion, and she just really wouldn't care about the safety issues, because then WAP would still have that high production rate. And then ethical egoism violates the agreement-seeking rule of ethical views, though, because they're looking out only for themselves. An extreme egoist cannot cooperate, and so there is a cooperation dilemma between Carol and Phil, because they need to both keep up on their side in telling Joan, and then there's a potential one between WAP and their competitors, because if Joan tells the other companies that of the potential danger to their employees, they would both need to agree not to use the new machines, so that would be a cooperation dilemma. And so there's another way to look at this between Carol and Phil. It would be a prisoner's dilemma game, and the best way to see their choices is through a payoff matrix, and that's this slide here. If you look over each one, and it's considered a prisoner's game because it results in each player having their outcome be smaller than if the other player would have done another strategy, because both of them still want to be in competition for the promotion, but both of them want a change to safety to look out for the employees, which they can't get basically both no matter what their decision is. So now, based on all of these factors, all of ethics, I'd say that she should tell Joan based on duty ethics, virtue, care, justice, and rights. The only reason not to would be utilitarianism and ethical egoism, so more are on the side that she should tell Joan of the safety issue.